Welcome to this special interview with Mr. Javier Colomina, the Deputy Assistant Secretary General for Political Affairs and Security Policy at NATO, and also a NATO Special Representative for Caucasus and Central Asia, who is on an official visit to the state of Kuwait. Welcome to Kuwait, Mr. Colomina. Let's start by first, maybe you could let us know what is the main purpose of your visit to Kuwait.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for hosting me here. The main purpose of the visit is threefold. First, I thought it was high time to come to Kuwait and maintain high-level consultations with your authorities on how to strengthen the bilateral relationship between NATO and Kuwait, which is already a good one, but we thought it was good to have this conversation. Second, how to increase the level of activities and the interaction through the center that we have here, the NERC, the center that was established 5 years ago. It is the 5th anniversary 2022, and we need to explore avenues to work better and in a more efficient and an increased way with our ICI partners and also GCC countries. And finally, on the wider picture and Russia's war in Ukraine that started on February 24th, how can we actually continue to provide the support that we've been providing to Ukraine and to sustain the unity that we have with our valued partners, and in particular the partners as Kuwait that share with us principles and values.
Mr. Colomina, in light of the political circumstances Europe and the entire world are currently experiencing, which includes the conflict, as you mentioned, between Russia and Ukraine, the upcoming energy crisis, and issues of displaced people, especially from Ukraine, what is the plan set by NATO to tackle these challenges?
Well, I think the world is in a very complicated place right now, and NATO has been trying to react to Russia's war in Ukraine in two ways. First, as I often say, I think NATO is right now fulfilling the most important task that NATO has fulfilled in 70 years, and that is to prevent that a local war, as terrible and horrible as it is, don't become a global one. To do that, we have take some decisions to increase our defense and deterrence, our ability to protect ourselves, basically to send a deterrent message to Russia in order to avoid that they make an even bigger strategic mistake than the one they made. And the second way is to continue to support Ukraine. We are continuing to support Ukraine in many ways. Bilaterally, allies and partners are helping Ukraine with financial support, with military equipment, and multilaterally, NATO is providing first a platform to coordinate that political will, and second, we are providing practical assistance with non-lethal equipment, because we don't want to give a pretext to Russia to actually make this war global, as I said. We took some decisions in Madrid. We approved some packages of support in many issues in cyber, in CBRN. We're trying to help them with equipment, with many non-lethal equipment support, and we will continue to do that.
Will there be cooperation with the state of Kuwait regarding energy issues? And has there been coordination with the countries of the ICI, the Istanbul Initiative, as alternative energy suppliers after it was cut off following the Ukrainian conflict?
Well, energy security is for sure one of the main issues right now for everyone. Two of the most obvious consequences of this war, apart from the consequences that it's having on the Ukrainian people that are terrible, but for the world would be food security and energy security. So we actually had a meeting at the North Atlantic Council with the 4 ambassadors of the ICI countries only a month ago on energy security. And one of the topics of conversation today with your Deputy Foreign Minister was actually energy security. How can we try to make the best use of the different sources of energy security? NATO is not an organization that secures the flow of energy, because we don't have that ability. What we can do is try to prevent attacks on the energy security, try to increase the safety, and try to increase the security networks. To do that, of course, as you know, is a difficult endeavor. It needs a lot of infrastructures, a lot of investments, a long-term approach. The European Union is working very much on that, and we are trying to also help that process, drive the political will that is necessary, and in that sense, we are, of course, maintaining conversations with our 4 ICI partners, which play a strategic role in energy security terms.
Mr. Colomina, on another issue, NATO's report released earlier this year has added an article related to climate change, which says that NATO recognizes climate change as an overarching challenge of our time that will measurably increase the risks to security and worsen as the world warms further. Can you elaborate further on this?
Climate change has been one of the novelties of the strategic concept that was approved in Madrid in July 2022, or end of June. It's been part of our conversations in the last year and a half. We believe climate change and security, that's what we are focusing on, the impact that climate change has on the security of our allies and our partners, the impact that climate change has on our own armed forces. There is a lot of adaptation that needs to be done, how, for instance, drier or more wet and humid environments are more difficult for our armed forces to work. The footprint of our armed forces in terms of carbon and other emissions, and impact overall in the security of our allies and partners. So this is part of the conversation, how we can help in doing that. We have already initiated an assessment phase. We are going to move into an adaptation phase where we will take some decisions and try to establish our own goals on footprint, as I said, on carbon emissions. And we will try to make that as soon as possible. It is always a complex process. And we are following, of course, the lead of the UN in that sense, all the European Union for EU members. But NATO can provide a platform to discuss these issues between North Atlantic and European.
Can you also elaborate on the status of both Russia and China in the current period through the new strategy? Are they regarded as threats?
Well, Russia is, clearly. It is not only regarded as a threat, but it is a threat. China is a different thing. China is a challenge. It represents security challenges already today. On the cyber, on a hybrid domain, there are a few things that are a concern for us. Their assertive foreign policy is a concern. We've shared that with our Chinese interlocutors. But at the same time, we're looking for opportunities to engage China on the things that are responsibilities of NATO. For instance, we have opened up already an engagement track with China on arms control, disarmament, and non-proliferation issues. And we will probably in the future do the same with climate change and security. So I think it's the answer is yes, Russia is a threat. China is a challenge in some aspects, but still there is a room for engagement, and we are trying to work with that. And at the same time, we are preparing for that challenge, increasing our resilience, increasing the resilience of our infrastructures, and trying to have a proper assessment.
And to our final question, Mr. Colomina, how do you view the regional center's work in Kuwait and the activities it conducts? How important is the role of the center?
Well, the center is very important. It's a strategic center for us. Helps very much in the relationship we have already with the ICI partners, but also with the GCC countries. Some of them are not members of the ICI initiative, not partners of NATO, the case of Oman and Saudi Arabia, but we have a good relationship with them. The center helps very much in that, and actually has been helping in the last years since it was established in 2017. We have a strong practical cooperation program. We have seminars on women, peace and security, on counterterrorism, on maritime control, on border security. We continue to train armed forces from partner nations here, and we believe there is a great margin of maneuver. Kuwait did an enormous effort in building this institution together with NATO. We are very grateful to the state of Kuwait for that. It's a landmark among the bilateral cooperation that we have with Kuwait, and we should continue to leverage the importance of the center itself. We are very happy that Sheikh Fawaz is leading that effort together with our own officials in NATO. And one of the objectives, as I said at the beginning of this interview, of my visit here is actually to try to strengthen the cooperation and the level of the activities that we are doing here at the center.
Mr. Javier Colomina, thank you very much for this interview. We wish you a very pleasant stay in Kuwait.
Thank you very much for hosting me here. Thank you.
To our viewers, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.